So in the previous short video lecture, I mentioned that we have succeeded at meeting Millennium Development Goal by decreasing the number of people suffering from hunger by half since 1990 and by decreasing the number of people living in extreme poverty by half since 1990. So how is this occurring? What is working? Well, I'm going to highlight a few programs here that have helped reach these goals. The first one is Cambodia. Farmers' income is climbing. Basically, the income for farmers rose from 0.47 cents a day to $1.40 a day for about 915 farmers in a specific 15-village area. Now, most of these farmers were women. There was a program implemented by the Food and Agricultural Organization that specifically trained these women on becoming more literate, gender awareness, on health and nutrition, as well as natural resource management. The women that participated in the program improved food security and income for their families. They did this by increasing off-farm production and improving the quality of their farm produce, and they were taught how to do better management of their farm produce as well as marketing. So this has definitely been a good success story in Cambodia. In Yemen, food is keeping girls in school. There's a program that was established by the World Food Program in 2007 titled Food for Girls Education. It's basically been tracking enrollment challenges in Yemen in school, where more than 60% of the primary school-age children who are not in school are girls. The goal is to help these girls be in school and tackle hunger. As a result of this program, families who send their girls to school are eligible to receive an annual ration of wheat and fortified vegetable oil. This program has reached almost 200,000 girls, benefiting over 1 million family members. The Zero Hunger Challenge also is a program that's gone global. It aims to achieve the following things: 100% access to adequate food all year round, 0 stunted children less than 2 years old, all food systems being sustainable, 100% increase in smallholder productivity and income, and 0 loss or waste of food. And that's the Zero Hunger Challenge. And what they're doing is trying to get corporations to step on board with this and provide funding to help improve education in areas so that this can be attained. The last bullet on your screen has forming companies. Well, an example of this is in Uttar Pradesh, India, where 50,000 women are benefiting from joining the UNDP IKEA Foundation that was launched in 2009. Through financial literacy, 9,000 dairy producers formed a company in 2011. Profits actually doubled in a year as members eliminated brokers and managed all their own steps for supplying the state's milk. There's an expanded project that is being proposed that could reach over 2.2 million women. So basically, instead of everybody operating individually with providing milk on the market, they basically created a co-op and pooled these people together to create a company in which they benefited by profiting by doubling their profit. This is a map depicting undernutrition around the world. The pink depicts areas where it's very high undernutrition. The aqua blue is also considered high. Between 30 to 40% of the population is in undernutrition scenarios. The light blue is where 20 to 30% of the population is in undernutrition scenario. And the light lime green is 5 to 20%. That's considered low. And the green is considered low, less than 5%. So when you look at this map, it's really depicting most of Africa as being in a moderate to very high scenario with undernutrition. And then you have South Asia, where about 36% of the population is considered to be undernourished, and then about 17.4% in Middle East and North Africa. Overall, globally for the world, we have about 23% of the world in undernutrition status. Undernutrition is defined by UNICEF as the outcome of insufficient food intake and repeated infectious diseases. It includes being underweight for one's age, too short for one's age, also known as being stunted, or dangerously thin for one's height, also known as being wasted. It also includes being deficient in vitamins and minerals. Nearly half of the deaths of children under age 5 are attributed to this undernutrition. And poor nutrition in the first 1,000 days of a child's life can also lead to stunted growth, which is irreversible and associated with impaired cognitive ability and reduced school and work performance. So it's really key that young children get nutrition early on. Africa has actually progressed the least since the year 2000 in curtailing undernutrition when compared to other regions. And the United Nations approximates that about 18,000 children die on a daily basis as a direct or indirect consequence of undernutrition. So based on this map, the largest percentage of undernourished people live in Asia and the Pacific Islands, followed by sub-Saharan Africa. You know, the good news in this is that there is enough food in the world today for everyone to have the nourishment they need for a healthy, productive life. The key factor in all this, in terms of addressing the world's food security challenges, is improving, again, food availability, food access, and the utilization of food across global communities. This slide is looking at United States food security. I'd like you to recall the definition of food secure. That's households that have access at all times to enough food for an active, healthy life for all household members. In 2016, about 87.7% of the homes in the United States were considered to be food secure. Food insecure is defined as at times during the year, households that were uncertain of having or unable to acquire enough food to meet the needs of their members because they had insufficient money or lacking of ability to get food. Food insecure households include those with low food security and very low food security. So looking at this diagram, 12.3% of the U.S. households were food insecure at some time during the 2016. This is essentially unchanged from the data the year before in 2015. The graph on the right depicts prevalence rates of food insecurity and very low food security in U.S. homes between 1995 and 2016. We've seen an increase in the trend after the year 2007, staying somewhat steady, and we're starting to see a decreasing trend last year, 2016, as well. In response to food insecurity in the United States, the government actually offers food assistance to low-income families through a program that's called SNAP, or Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. This allows families to use like a debit card to purchase breads or cereals and fruits and dairy products from approved stores. The federal government also funds school breakfast programs and lunch programs for families that are food insecure, and there's plenty of community-based organizations in the area, such as food banks, that help address families' immediate food needs as well. So we do have food security issues here in the United States. It's just not as prevalent as other areas in the world. Now, one issue that we do have in the United States is food deserts. This is where there's no access to fresh food in developed countries, and the people's diets end up being high in fat, sugar, salt, with very little protein. This typically happens in urban neighborhoods that lack grocery stores, and people rely on convenience stores and fast food restaurants that offer high calorie, high processed, low protein foods. The second issue that we have here in the United States is overnutrition, and that occurs when food energy intake actually exceeds the energy used by a person, and it causes excess body fat and obesity. So people that are underfed and underweight And those that are overfed and overweight actually face similar health problems: lower life expectancy, greater susceptibility to disease and illness, and lower productivity and quality of life. So globally, there's about 925 million people that have health problems because they do not get enough to eat. And about 1.1 billion people face health problems because they eat too much. So overnutrition currently is exceeding undernutrition or malnourishment in terms of the number of people in the world. Here in the United States, about 68% of American adults are considered overweight, and half of those people are considered to be obese. It's also worth noting that obesity plays a role in 4 of the top 10 causes of death in the United States: heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and some form of cancer. So getting too much food also can be a problem when it comes to considering nutrition. So some solutions to food insecurity: reduce food loss in the food supply chain and reduce food waste by retailers and consumers. Improve the storage, transportation, and distribution methods of food, especially in developing countries. Also, provide off-farm income to help during poor harvest seasons. In other words, train farmers to have backup career opportunities during times of poor harvest where they can still sustain some income. Promote agricultural technology and research in order to improve yield of crops and also the storage and transportation and distribution of foods. Sustainable natural resource management, focusing on utilizing our agricultural lands in a productive way that does not deplete the nutrients from the soils and make them basically unfarmable. Improving trade infrastructure, specifically related to food resources being distributed around the world. And also collaborate globally in order to continue to reach forward in decreasing worldwide food insecurity, as well as